Look, I read this earnings release this morning before the market opened, and I genuinely had to scroll back up and read the revenue number twice to make sure I wasn't seeing things. Now that the market has closed and the dust has settled a bit, I want to actually walk through what Ondas reported for Q1 2026 and what I think it really means underneath the headlines. Before we get into it, this is just my personal take on what I read in the release, not financial advice. Please do your own research and form your own opinion. Here's the number that made me do the double take. Q1 revenue came in at $50.1 million versus $4.3 million in the same quarter a year ago. That's not a typo. It's literally a more than tenfold jump in 12 months. Sequentially, it's also up 66% from Q4 2025, and management said the result exceeded the high end of their own prior guidance by 25%. Gross profit hit $24.7 million at a 49% margin, compared to 35% in the prior year period. So the margin is also expanding meaningfully as scale starts to kick in. On top of all that, they raised full year 2026 guidance to at least $390 million, which would represent roughly 670% year-over-year growth from 2025, according to the company's own framing. And pro forma backlog is now $457 million versus $68.3 million at the end of 2025. Some of that backlog comes from the addition of Mistral and Worldview, which closed in April, but a meaningful chunk is genuinely organic order activity, including around $220 million in aggregated awards captured by 4M Defense and Indo-Earth alone in the quarter. So between the revenue print, the guidance raise, and the backlog ramp, you can kind of understand why the market reacted the way it did today. Okay, so let me walk through the strategic story, because honestly, the numbers alone don't fully explain what Ondas is actually trying to build. They call the strategy a core plus strategic growth program, which is corporate speak for an aggressive acquisition rollup designed to build a vertically integrated autonomous defense platform across air, ground, and now stratospheric domains. In just the last few months, they've added Rotron Aerospace, UK loitering munitions. Those are basically one-way attack drones that have become essential modern battlefield kit after the Ukraine conflict made the case for them. Mistral, a U.S. Department of War prime contractor that holds a position in a $982 million IDIQ program with the U.S. Army for loitering munitions. IDIQ stands for Indefinite Delivery, Indefinite Quantity, which is essentially a long-term contracting vehicle that lets the government order systems against the program's ceiling without rebidding every time. Aero, laser-based airborne missile defense. Indo-Earth, specialty military earth-moving and demining equipment, and Worldview, stratospheric balloon platforms that deliver persistent ISR and communications without satellites or aircraft. On top of that, they formed Onberg, a 51% owned joint venture with Heidelberg in Germany to localize European manufacturing and sales. Plus, there's this whole partnership with Palantir Technologies, including a jointly developed system called SkyWeaver. The Palantir piece is actually worth understanding. AIP is essentially Palantir's enterprise AI platform that connects data sources, models, and decision systems. So integrating Ondas hardware into that stack means autonomous platforms in the field can be tied directly into command and control workflows that defense customers already use. On the operational side, there's been visible deployments. Ondas counter-UAS systems were used at the World Economic Forum in Davos and the 2026 FIFA World Cup, new orders secured in the Middle East amid escalating drone threats, and American Robotics' Optimus drone got approved for rapid federal procurement via the DCMA Blue UAS cleared list, which is the gatekeeper certification for U.S. government drone purchases. The pitch is basically, don't think of us as a drone vendor, think of us as an integrated systems prime contractor. Now I have to address something that probably explains some of the headline confusion if you just scanned the press release this morning. Reported net income for Q1 was $361.2 million. Yes, $361 million on $50 million of revenue. If you just read that line in isolation, you'd think this is the most profitable defense company on the planet. But the vast majority of that number is non-cash accounting gains, not actual operating earnings. Specifically, $389.5 million of it came from a fair value adjustment on warrant liabilities. Those are warrants issued during the October 2025 and January 2026 equity raises that get marked to fair value every quarter using a Black-Scholes model. Another $51.5 million was a one-time non-cash gain from deconsolidating Ondas networks. Partially offsetting that was a $46.2 million non-cash charge for adjusting a variable interest entity to fair value. The real operating economics show up in the adjusted EBITDA loss of $10.9 million for the quarter, which is actually slightly worse than the $7.5 million adjusted EBITDA loss in Q1 2025. Management itself flagged that adjusted EBITDA losses will likely peak in Q2 2026 before improving in the back half of the year as revenue ramps. So when you see headlines saying Ondas posts $361 million in net income, just remember it's primarily an accounting artifact tied to the warrant structure. The underlying business is still not profitable at the consolidated level, even though the product companies themselves did achieve adjusted EBITDA positivity for the first time, 6 months ahead of management's prior schedule, which is genuinely a positive operational signal. The risks here are very real, and I want to be honest about them. The dilution is significant. Common share count grew from approximately 380.8 million at the end of 2025 to 469.1 million as of March 31st, 2026, largely because of the January 2026 equity offering that raised about $1 billion in gross proceeds. That's roughly 23% dilution in a single quarter, which is a lot for existing shareholders to absorb regardless of how the cash gets deployed. The warrant liability on the balance sheet sits at over $1 billion as of quarter end, which means future quarters will continue to see large non-cash mark-to-market swings flowing through earnings depending on where the stock moves. And ironically, a strong move higher would create a large non-cash loss next quarter, basically the mirror image of this quarter's gain. The acquisition rollup model also carries real integration risk. 5 acquisitions across geographies and technology domains in a short window is a lot to digest operationally, and there isn't a track record yet on whether Ondas can actually integrate these businesses rather than just bolting their revenue onto the consolidated top line. Cash operating expenses were $36.9 million in Q1, up from $9.0 million a year ago, which is a roughly 4-fold increase in operating spend. Management argues this is front-loaded ahead of the H2 revenue ramp, but if the revenue doesn't materialize as guided, the burn becomes a much bigger problem, and the defense procurement environment ultimately depends on political and budget decisions that can shift quarter to quarter. And so putting it all together, in my opinion, this is one of the more genuinely interesting defense robotics stories on the public market right now, but it's also a name where the gap between what looks impressive on the surface and what's actually happening operationally is unusually wide. The tenfold revenue growth, the backlog ramp, the product company adjusted EBITDA profitability, the Palantir partnership, the Mistral IDIQ position, those are all real positives, and I get why the market reacted the way it did today, but the dilution, the warrant overhang, the integration risk, and the still elevated EBITDA losses guided to peak in Q2 are also real, and they deserve the same attention as the bullish points. I could absolutely be wrong about all of this, and this isn't financial advice, it's just my opinion based on the earnings release and my own research. So please look at the primary documents yourself and form your own view before making any decisions. Drop a comment below and let me know which stock you want me to break down next. I'm open to pretty much any sector, so just leave the ticker and I'll add it to the list.